The silence at the dinner table was so loud you could hear my heart breaking. Again, another plate pushed away, another meal untouched. If you're a parent to a neurodivergent kid, especially one with sensory sensitivities around food, you know this silence. It's heavy, frustrating, and honestly, pretty lonely. It's filled with worry. Are they getting enough to eat? Are they getting the right things? For years, I felt like I was failing a test I didn't even know how to study for. I Googled every picky eater recipe out there. I tried hiding vegetables. I tried bargaining. I tried making food into cute little animal shapes. Nothing was working. The turning point for us wasn't some magic recipe. It was a shift in how I looked at the whole situation. I stopped trying to win a food battle and started trying to build a bridge instead. A bridge made of trust, patience, and a few surprisingly simple, nutrient-dense foods. This wasn't about tricking my child into eating. It was about finding ways to offer these powerful foods in a form their sensory system could actually accept without pressure, without praise, without any drama. And slowly, wonderfully, it started to work. Today, I'm sharing the 5 game-changing brain foods that have become staples in our house. These aren't exotic superfoods you have to track down online. They are simple, powerful, and most importantly, they are foods my kid actually eats. I'm going to share not just the what, but the how. The specific, low-pressure ways we prepare and serve them that finally got us to a yes. This isn't about a diet overhaul. It's about small wins that can make a world of difference. Let's start with one of the most humble and honestly most powerful foods in your kitchen, the egg. For the longest time, I just thought of eggs as breakfast. But when I started looking into the science of brain food, eggs kept popping up as a huge deal. The big reason is a nutrient called choline. Egg yolks are packed with it, and it plays a key part in building the brain's communication network. Some research suggests getting enough choline early in life can support cognitive function down the road. Plus, eggs are loaded with high-quality protein and vitamin B12, both essential for sustained energy and focus, something that's a constant conversation in our house. But knowing eggs were good for my kid and getting him to eat one were 2 completely different universes. The texture was always the enemy. Scrambled eggs, too wet and unpredictable. Hard-boiled eggs, the smell would clear the room. And the texture was dry and crumbly. It felt hopeless. Our first breakthrough came from changing the shape entirely. I started making what we call egg muffins, basically mini frittatas baked in a muffin tin. The magic is all in the texture. When you bake an egg like this, it becomes uniform and firm, almost like a savory little cake. No wet spots, no mush. It's predictable. I started by making them completely plain the toast. Some days he'd only dip, some days he'd take a bite. Over time, it became a requested favorite. Finally, there was the power of just egg, baked. Once that became a safe food, I could add a tiny, almost invisible sprinkle of a cheese he already liked. The key was that he was in control and could see exactly what was in it. Our second big win was the dippy egg. Add soft boil an egg so the yolk was runny, pop it in a little cup, and serve it with Toast Soldier's thin strips of his favorite toast. The act of dipping turned the meal from a chore into a game. The focus shifted from "you have to eat this egg" to the fun of dipping it around. I would put a single quartered hard-boiled egg on a snack plate next to his safe foods, like crackers and apple slices. I never once said, "Try the egg." I never pointed to it. I just made it present. For weeks, it was ignored. Then one day, he picked it up, sniffed it, and put it back down. A week later, he licked it. Finally, about a month after I started, he took a tiny bite. There were no fireworks. It was a quiet, personal victory that came from taking all the pressure off and just letting curiosity do its thing. Next up is a food group that usually has a bit of a head start: berries. Their natural sweetness can make them an easier sell than veggies, but they are absolute powerhouses for brain support. Berries are packed with antioxidants called anthocyanins. That's what gives them those beautiful deep colors. Research has suggested a link between these nutrients and cognitive function. Now, we can't say that eating blueberries will magically boost a child's memory, but studies do show that a diet rich in these plant-based nutrients is great for overall health. A healthy, well-nourished brain is just better equipped for learning and focus. For us, the problem wasn't the taste. It was, you guessed it, the texture. The tiny seeds in raspberries were a sensory landmine. The sudden squish of a whole blueberry could be jarring. A whole strawberry was too big and had that weird leafy top. The list of offenses was long. The solution that changed everything for us was temperature. I started buying bags of frozen berries. A frozen blueberry is a completely different sensory experience from a fresh one. It's not squishy. It's firm and solid, and it melts slowly in your mouth, almost like a tiny bite of sorbet. This completely sidestepped the texture issue. My son would happily eat a small bowl of frozen wild blueberries straight from the freezer. It was a cool, crunchy, satisfying snack. Our other secret weapon is berry dust. I buy freeze-dried berries, usually raspberries or strawberries, and blitz them in a blender into a fine powder. This stuff is magic. It has all the concentrated flavor and color of berries with zero texture issues. It's just a powder. I can sprinkle it on his coconut yogurt, turning it bright pink and adding flavor without any lumps or seeds. I can even stir a spoonful into water to make a simple berry juice. And smoothies? A big glass of a mysterious thick liquid was often a no-go. So we changed the delivery system. I started pouring smoothies into popsicle molds. A smoothie pop is a treat. It's dessert. And it puts the child back in control. By letting him be the one to drop the berries into the blender and push the button, he had a hand in making it. That involvement was just as important as the ingredients. This next one can be a tough sell for kids and adults alike. Fish. The reason I was so determined was because of its incredible brain-building powers. Fatty fish, like salmon, are rich in omega-3s, especially one called DHA, which is a primary structural component of the brain. It's literally one of the fundamental building blocks of your child's brain. Now, a big worry for parents is mercury, and that's a valid concern. Thankfully, salmon is generally considered a low mercury fish. The FDA and EPA have charts that classify fish, and you usually find salmon in the best choices category. That said, official guidance can change, so it's always a good idea to check the latest recommendations for your own peace of mind. For my child, the aversion was predictable. The fishy smell and the flaky, unpredictable texture. It was a sensory nightmare. We had to completely rethink what serving fish looked like. The single biggest game changer for us was salmon patties. I use canned salmon, which is convenient and affordable. The trick is to drain it really well and flake it apart, removing any skin or tiny bones. Then, I mix it with a familiar safe binder for us that was either mashed sweet potato or panko breadcrumbs and an egg. When you pan fry it in a little avocado oil, the texture and flavor are completely transformed. It's no longer a flaky piece of fish. It's a warm, savory patty with a consistent texture, a lot like a chicken nugget. The shape was familiar, and the taste was much milder. Another strategy was what I call incorporation, not hiding. Hiding food can break trust, but incorporating a flavor can help make it normal. I will take a tiny amount of flaked salmon, I'm talking less than a teaspoon, and stir it into something with a strong familiar flavor he already liked, like a tomato pasta sauce. The goal wasn't to trick him, but to introduce the taste in a very diluted, non-threatening way. Over time, that flavor becomes less foreign. Finally, the cooking method makes a huge difference. I found that baking salmon at a low temperature, around 275 degrees Fahrenheit, makes it incredibly moist and tender and dramatically reduces that fishy smell. When I first served it this way, I'd place a tiny thumbnail-sized flake on the very edge of his plate, far away from his safe foods. No expectation to eat it. It was just there. This is all part of the long game of making the unfamiliar familiar, one tiny, pressure-free step at a time. If these stories are hitting home for you, please share in the comments which food has been the biggest hurdle in your house. Reading each other's experiences helps so much because the more we share, the less alone we all feel. And if you're finding these ideas helpful, tapping that subscribe button is a great way to let me know you'd like more content like this. It truly means the world. Now for a breakfast classic, we had to completely reinvent oats. The big benefit of oats is how they deliver energy. Unlike sugary cereals that can cause a big blood sugar spike and then a crash, oats are a complex carb, which means they are digested more slowly. That slow digestion can help support more stable blood sugar levels. For many kids, this can be a real game changer for maintaining steady energy and focus through the morning. Now, every child is different and it's not a magic fix, but giving the brain a source of steady fuel creates a much better foundation for the day. Oats are also a great source of B vitamins and magnesium, which support the nervous system. The problem? A bowl of oatmeal. For my son, the texture of porridge is a sensory nightmare. It's gloopy, mushy, and unpredictable. No way was he eating it. I knew if I wanted the benefits of oats in his diet, I had to throw out the idea of the bowl and spoon. Our hero preparation is baked oatmeal. This changed everything. I mix rolled oats with milk, an egg, and a touch of maple syrup, and then bake it in a dish. The end result is not mushy. It's firm, moist, and has a consistent cake-like texture. I can cut it into squares or use cookie cutters to make fun shapes. It's a handheld food he can eat like a little breakfast bar, with all the goodness of oatmeal, but in a sensory-friendly form. Another favorite is oat flour pancakes. I just blend whole rolled oats in a blender until they become a fine flour, and then I use that flour in our regular pancake recipe. The pancakes are a bit heartier and nuttier, but the form is identical. It's a pancake, a familiar, safe shape. Finally, a no-cook option that's been a huge hit is no-bake energy bites. We mix rolled oats with sunflower seed butter and a little honey to bind it all together. Then we roll them into small balls and chill them. They become these dense, chewy, delicious little bites. And because he helps make them, he's engaging with the ingredients in a positive, playful way, long before they ever get to the plate. Our final food is a category I thought was totally off limits: legumes. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, they are nutritional superstars, packed with protein, fiber, iron, and folate. But let's be honest, the texture of a bean can be a deal breaker for even the most adventurous eaters, let alone a kid with sensory challenges. For us, they were a total non-starter. The hack that opened this door for us was discovering red lentil pasta. Now, I want to be really clear. This is not a perfect one-to-one replacement for traditional pasta. The taste and texture can vary a lot between brands, but we found a brand that was close enough that when paired with a familiar sauce, it was accepted. A serving of red lentil pasta can have way more protein and fiber than traditional pasta, which again helps with sustained energy. We started by mixing it 50-50 with his regular pasta, and over time, we were able to switch to 100% lentil pasta for some meals. The other surprising legume winner was roasted chickpeas. We call them crunchy chickpea nuts. I rinse and drain a can of chickpeas, dry them really well, and then toss them with a little avocado oil and a pinch of salt. I roast them in a hot oven until they are incredibly crunchy. The transformation is amazing. They go from a soft mealy bean to a crispy, savory, snackable crunch, but they are packed with protein and fiber. It's a perfect example of how changing the texture can completely change a food. So, we've talked about eggs, berries, salmon, oats, and legumes. But the secret ingredient that ties all of this together isn't a food. It's the strategy: low pressure, patient, and gradual exposure. You may have heard that it can take 10 or 15 tries before a kid will accept a new food. The truth is, there is no magic number. For some foods, it took us 5 tries. For others, it felt closer to 50. The number isn't the point. The patience is the point. The framework that saved my sanity is known as the division of responsibility. It's simple. My job as the parent is to decide what food is served, when it's served, and where it's served. My child's job is to decide whether he eats it and how much of it he eats. Once the plate is on the table, my job of coaxing, bargaining, or pressuring is over. This simple idea removes the battle. It gives the child a sense of control, which is so often at the heart of feeding struggles. Food is just food. A fed child is always the goal. These 5 foods are just tools we've used to respectfully widen the circle of what feels safe for my child. Conclusion. So there you have it. Our 5 workhorse brain foods and the sensory-friendly ways we finally made them a part of our life. It wasn't about a miracle cure, but about endless, small, patient experiments. It was about honoring my child's sensory needs instead of fighting them. This journey is a marathon, not a sprint. We still have hard days, but the silence at our dinner table is different now. It's more peaceful. It's filled less with my anxiety and more with his quiet confidence. Every tiny victory, whether it's trying a new shape of baked oatmeal or just letting a piece of salmon sit on the plate without a meltdown, is a monumental win. If you are in the trenches of this struggle, please know that you are not alone and you are doing an amazing job. Be kind to yourself, celebrate the tiniest successes, and remember that you are playing the long game. Thank you for being here with me. For more practical tips on navigating neurodiversity and parenthood, make sure you're subscribed. You might also find our next video on creating a sensory-friendly kitchen helpful. I'll see you in the next one.